Here's an updated look at the Bubba SKS. It's been about a year, I think, since I last played around with it. So I gathered some components together and black matte Duracoat, and I kind of went to town on it. First thing I've changed is the front sight assembly. Hopefully this is capturing this all right. I can't really see the view screen just because it's so bright out. Normally the front sight assembly has a barrel that goes back to about here and then has the bayonet lugs. I knocked the whole assembly off, cut that tube off, and then filed off the tabs that hold the cleaning rod in place. I never had either on the rifle to start with. If you watch my other video, I talk about the front sight and why I ground it down like that. Basically, I got it when I got the rifle, it was damaged, so I had little choice. It was actually split right across the top. This is a refurb. I got it fairly cheap, so I really didn't care too much that I had to do a little bit of toying around with it to make it look decent. And likewise, if this was even vaguely a stock SKS in good condition, I would have never done any of this work to it. I would have just left it alone, but since it was already kind of beat up, I figured I'd go ahead and Bubba it. I also changed the handguard. Obviously, when I got rid of the plastic ATI stock and the plastic top cover, I put this on instead. It's just like a cheap $12 steel cover, and it comes with a pin to attach it. I actually JB welded the whole thing together, and I'll update as time goes by on how that stands up. But in my experience, JB weld sticks really, really well. So I suspect it's going to work pretty good. You can see I put it. It almost looks like this thing's one piece now, just because I filled in all the crevices with JB weld, and likewise on the inside. So I really suspect this is going to work out okay. Of course, it's important that you get rid of all the trace oil on the parts before you use JB weld. I just hit everything with a brake cleaner and then go ahead and do my JB weld work, and that works out pretty good. Of course, I've Duracoated everything in matte black, mostly for rust proofing or whatever. I did have it kind of I think it was a Tactical Coyote Brown or something like that before. I kind of wanted to go back to just the regular black on the SKS. I really kind of wish the stock hadn't have turned out quite as dark as it did. And technically I could go over it again and switch to something less dark or even a walnut, which might look nice, but I think I'm going to leave it like this for now and play around with it. See how well it wears. This is not the usual scope on the rifle. I just threw that on there for looks. I have used that scope before and it does work okay or whatever, but I do prefer a Vortex 4-12 on it, and not on quick release mounts. This rifle does not require quick release mounts in order to clean it. I can just roll the bolt and carrier assembly out from right here, and likewise I can co-witness the iron sights with the mount set at this height. This is the Pro Mag mount. So I suspect I probably won't play around with this too much for a couple weeks. I'm going to let the Duracoat harden right up, and then I'll probably pull that scope mount off and lock tight the machine screws in. They're in, but just kind of a little bit snugger than finger tight. I'll pull those right off, clean the threads up, make sure there's no oil, and then use some blue Loctite on them to secure them down. Anyway, that's the latest version of the Bubba SKS. If anyone has any questions on what I used or where I got the components, just go ahead and ask, and I'll answer that. I just thought I'd update the look of it anyway. And there you have it.